Hey there, and welcome to Weeb Novel Audiobook, your hub for epic fanfics, original stories, and thrilling adventures brought to life. Make sure to subscribe for regular updates and swing by my Patreon for early access and exclusive mature content. Now, sit back and enjoy the journey.
Where am I? A young man, around 15 years old and clad in bloodied robes, snapped open his eyes in a cave. The cave was dark and silent, but the pale light danced on his features, revealing a look of confusion and wonder on his face. Wasn't I standing right there, arguing with my boss? That guy, always breathing down my neck. He lost it, I remember, shouting about my incompetence, and then what? Did he actually throw a stapler at me? Was that how I lost consciousness? Ethan groaned, still struggling to grasp the last thing he remembered before blacking out. Wait a second, this isn't my body. Despite the physical and mental pain, Ethan spoke hoarsely, his hands trembled as he glanced at them in the pale moonlight. Arg. Before he could even begin to process the strange sensation of being in a new body, a wave of foreign memories crashed into him, drowning him in the experiences of someone else's life. They weren't his, yet they felt so real, so vivid. Kai. Is that the name of this body's original owner? Did I transmigrate into a cultivation world? It didn't take long for Ethan to realize the harsh truth. He hadn't simply blacked out, he had been killed by a stapler. And then, as his mind cleared, it hit him, he wasn't in his own body anymore. He had transmigrated. Not just into any world, but into a cultivation world teeming with powerful sects and clans, where cultivators defy mortality, wield elemental forces, soar through the skies, and carve their destinies through alchemy, formations, and relentless battles for supremacy. So, transmigration is real after all. Ethan muttered, his voice tinged with disbelief as his entire life flooded his mind, his regrets, his frustration, and the simmering anger that had built up over the years. Ethan's parents had worked their entire lives to give him a chance at something better, but he was too consumed by his tyrant of a boss to be there when they needed him most. By the time he was ready to repay their sacrifices, it was too late. His mother had died alone, and his father followed soon after, his heart broken. One day, Ethan couldn't take it anymore. He finally confronted his tyrant of a boss, ready to quit the suffocating job. But instead of words, the beast threw a stapler at him, a effing stapler. That was how it all ended, an office supply that ended his life. Maybe the heavens are giving me a second chance through this body. At least in this life, I should enjoy life to the fullest and die without any regrets. After years of being crushed under the thumb of his tyrant boss, Ethan found it surprisingly easy to adjust to his transmigration, his spirit hardened by endless frustration and helplessness. I know how I died, but how did this body's original owner die? Once he settled his mind, Ethan grew curious about the reason behind the death of the body's original owner and looked into the memories in his head. As Ethan sifted through the memories that had flooded into his mind earlier, he uncovered the quiet tragedy of Kai's life. Born into an average family, Kai's parents had worked hard every day for a cultivation family. Seeing that Kai wanted to change their status by becoming a powerful cultivator. So, he left the family without telling and joined the Skycloud sect. But despite his hard work, Kai had failed, cast out by the sect and left to wander with nothing but broken dreams. Nonetheless, he believed that he should return to the family and work along with his parents to slightly better their life. Although our names are different, our lives are very similar. We are born to die with regrets, no matter how hard we work. Halfway through the memories, Ethan found many similarities between his and Kai's lives. Slightly shaking his head, Ethan continued to process the memories. After getting kicked out of the sect, things only got worse. As Kai was heading back to his village, an assassin targeted him. Though Kai managed to escape, he stumbled into the cave where Ethan now lay. But the blood loss was too severe, causing Kai's life to slip away, leaving only his broken body for Ethan's soul to inhabit. An assassin. The moment Ethan learned of Kai's death, a sense of impending danger surged within him. Doubts flooded his mind, one after another, as the reality of his situation began to sink in. Just moments ago, Ethan had been determined to embrace his new life to the fullest. But now, he discovered that he was on the run from a mysterious assassin intent on ending his life. Swish. You're still alive despite losing so much blood. A startled voice echoed through the cave, sending a jolt of fear through Ethan. He quickly spun around, his heart racing as he searched for the source of the sound. Why do you want to kill me? What did I do to you? Ethan's voice shook, but he forced himself to stand firm despite his weak, injured body. It's not personal. I'm simply doing my job. The assassin's voice was as cold and detached as steel. He continued, I had fun hunting you, but it's time to end it. Swish. As soon as he finished speaking, the masked assassin slashed at Ethan's neck with his dagger. Is this really how I die? After everything, just moments into my new life. This was the last thought in Ethan's head before his vision turned dark. But just as the void consumed him, Ethan heard a series of dings, followed by the appearance of a system interface. Ding, the host has met all the requirements to activate the Godly Revival system. Ding, congratulations to the host for successfully activating the Godly Revival system. Ding, the Godly Revival system allows its user to revive once every week upon death, earning life points that can be used to acquire cultivation, talents, or abilities from those who killed them. Godly Revival system? Is that my golden finger? Ethan was deeply moved, his heart swelling with emotion. If he were still in his body, tears would have undoubtedly welled up in his eyes. That's right. Ethan was not in his body. He was currently in soul form, observing the series of notifications that appeared in front of him. Not only can I revive once a week, but I can also get my killer's stats. Learning about the abilities of the Godly Revival system, Ethan was excited. In this dog-eat-dog cultivation world, where he had been killed just after his transmigration, Ethan was obviously happy with such a cheat that could make him stronger with each death. However, I still need to be careful since I can revive only once a week. Thanks to the work life in his previous world, when focused, Ethan was quick with his thinking. He analyzed his situation while observing the new series of system notifications. Ding, a welcome gift package has been issued for activating the system. Ding, the host has received a death allowance of 69 life points that can be used to buy his killer's stats. Ding, do you want to check the interface of killer's stats to see what you can buy? Looking at the system notifications, Ethan had lots of questions. However, the last notification piqued his curiosity. Yes. Hence, he decided to check it and see exactly how he could buy his killer's stats. Interface of killer's stats 1, Cultivation Level 6G Refining Stage, 60 Life Points 2, Cultivation Technique Shadow Steps, Beginner Stage, 50 Life Points 3, Inventory a bottle of Chi Refining Pills, 10 Life Points Available Life Points, 69 Note, the available items in the interface of killer's stats will reset in a week. Please buy them before that. Soon, an interface appeared in front of Ethan with 3 things available for purchase along with their price. Can I really increase my cultivation just like that? Ethan still felt like he was dreaming. The reason why Kai, the original owner of the body, was kicked out of the sect was that he could not break through to level 2 Chi refining despite cultivating for an entire year. However, with his available life points, he could reach a cultivation level that would take years for others in a single moment. I can even learn a cultivation technique up to the beginner stage with life points. Shadow Steps was a unique cultivation technique for assassins, and since Ethan was killed by an assassin, it appeared on the interface. Not just cultivation and cultivation techniques, but I can also purchase items in my killer's possession. What shocked Ethan even more was the last item on the interface. It wasn't the bottle of chi refining pills that shocked him, but rather the ability to buy the things in his killer's possession. I want to buy all three of them, however, I have limited life points. So, I can only choose the most useful and valuable one for my current situation. Although it had only been a few moments since Ethan's transmigration, he had already gained a basic understanding of this world. Without cultivation, having a powerful cultivation technique was useless. And with his current cultivation at level 1 chi refining stage, having that unique cultivation technique wouldn't be helpful yet. From Kai's memories, Ethan could tell how dangerous this world was, and having a good cultivation base was what he currently needed most. However, he didn't want to miss out on obtaining a good cultivation technique either. Wait a second. There is still the welcome gift package. As Ethan didn't want to miss out on a unique cultivation technique like Shadow Steps, he thought of the welcome gift package he had received from the system earlier. Ding, do you want to open the welcome gift package? As though sensing his thoughts, the godly revival system prompted Ethan about the gift package. Yes. Ethan readily agreed without thinking much. Ding, the host has opened the welcome gift package. Ding, the host has received 100 life points. Ding, the host has received a free purchase voucher, small. Note, using this, the host can exchange an item that costs less than 100 life points from the interface of the killer's stats. Ding, the host has received a revival life card. Note, using this, the host can revive once, however, unlike the system's weekly revival, you can't buy the killer's stats from this revival. From the welcome gift package, Ethan received 3 things, making him excited. Excellent. With additional life points, I can not only buy the cultivation but also the cultivation technique. No matter how excited he was, Ethan suppressed his excitement and thought for a moment regarding his purchase. Let's save the free purchase voucher for next time and use the life points. Since he could exchange an item worth 100 life points, Ethan felt it was unwise to use it now. Hence, Ethan made his decision to purchase using his available life points. Ding, the host has spent 60 life points to buy a cultivation of level 6 chi refining stage. Ding, the host has spent 50 life points to buy a cultivation technique, Shadow Steps, along with a mastery of the beginner stage. Ding, available life points, 59. Ding, the purchased items will be applied upon revival. Soon, a series of system notifications resounded in Ethan's mind, confirming his purchases. So that's why I didn't feel any changes. If not for the last system notification, Ethan might have panicked for a moment. But when will I revive? In the next second, Ethan had a doubt, to which he instantly received a reply from the system. Ding, the host needs to wait for an hour after death before the revival process begins. Ding, during this hour, the host can still observe his surroundings by spending a life point. I need an hour to revive? That's not a problem. Reviving was a blessing, and Ethan had no complaints about waiting an hour. Even if it took a day, a week, or a month, Ethan would patiently wait. Since there is nothing else to do now, I'll check my surroundings. Currently, Ethan's soul was in a void. Other than the system notifications and interface, there was nothing around him. So, he decided to spend a life point to observe his surroundings. Mainly, Ethan wanted to see his body and confirm whether the assassin had left. Ding, the host has spent 1 life point to enable soul sight for an hour. Swish. Following the system notification, Ethan's view shifted from darkness back to the cave where he had died. That bastard is still here, and he's cutting off my head. Ethan's mind reeled as the gruesome scene unfolded before him. The assassin crouched over his lifeless body, calmly slicing through the neck with a dagger, severing his head with chilling precision. He's not even leaving my corpse alone. What a sick B****. Ethan could not bear to watch any more and closed his eyes, only to hear the assassin's cold voice. Heads prove the mission is accomplished. The satisfaction in the assassin's tone sent shivers down Ethan's soul. Soon, the assassin made the head disappear magically before leaving the cave under the cover of darkness. System, can I still revive without a headless body? The scene he witnessed was gruesome, however, Ethan was more worried about his revival. Ding, the host doesn't have to worry about such things. Ding, while reviving, the host's body will be recreated by the system and not from the lifeless corpse. Phew. Seeing the system notification, Ethan heaved a sigh of relief. About the revival point, won't it be dangerous if my killer still lingers in the cave? Today, the assassin might have left the cave, however, in the future, what if his killer stays back to rest or for some other reason? Ding, the place where the host dies is called the death point. Ding, by default, the host will revive at the death point exactly 1 hour after death. Ding, however, the host can mark a specific location for his revival from the next time to avoid meeting his killer upon revival. Ding, this specific location is called the save point. Ding, once a save point is marked, the host can choose to either revive at the death point or the save point. I can revive at a location other than the death point. Great. Ethan's eyes lit up, and he decided to complete that step after his revival. System, I have another question. After receiving answers to his earlier questions, Ethan started asking more and more to get a better understanding of how the godly revival system worked. Soon, Ethan received a flood of system notifications, answering almost all the questions in his head. Ding, the items in the interface of the killer's stats show only the items that the host can afford with his available life points. Ding, the formula for the calculation of life points issued to the host after every death is, life points equals lifespan, current age. Ding, the host's lifespan is 85, and his current age is 16. Hence, he received 69 life points after his death. As long as I can increase my lifespan, I can receive more life points, which means I can buy more of my killer's cultivation. After learning how life points were calculated, Ethan had only one thought in his mind: increase his lifespan by any means possible. The most common method to increase lifespan is by breaking through to the next realm in my cultivation. From Kai's memories, Ethan recalled the power system of this cultivation world: 1. Chi refining realm. 2. Foundation establishment realm. 3. Golden core realm. 4. Nascent soul realm. With a higher cultivation realm, not only does battle prowess drastically increase, but so does a cultivator's lifespan. Ethan was aiming for that. It's clear that Kai, doesn't have much cultivation talent since he failed to break through to level 2 of the Chi refining stage even after cultivating for an entire year. Ethan quickly pulled out his previous life's analytical skills to assess his current situation. So, I should find treasures that increase my lifespan. In this world, there were various treasures that could increase a cultivator's lifespan. However, such items are quite expensive, and whenever they appear, they create quite a commotion among cultivators. So, I need to increase my strength before searching for such treasures. Since his godly revival ability reset every week, Ethan decided to die for a few weeks to increase his cultivation. More importantly, who wants to kill me? I was just a level 1 Chi refining cultivator before leaving the section. Ethan didn't know who had employed the assassin to kill him, nor could he think of anyone who bore such a grudge against him. Soon, he shook his head and decided, for now, I'll just lay low and increase my cultivation every week. According to the system, he could revive only once every week. If he died before his revival ability reset, he would die for real. Although he had a revival life card that granted him a free revival, Ethan didn't want to use it unless absolutely necessary. Time passed quickly, and before he knew it, the waiting period for his revival was over. Ding, the waiting period of 1 hour for the host's revival is completed. Ding, since there is no save point, the host can only revive at the death point. The system notifications informed Ethan of his impending revival, filling him with excitement. He focused all his attention on observing the headless corpse in the cave. In the cave where Ethan had been killed earlier, the headless corpse began to dissolve into tiny golden lights. These glowing dots converged into a circular golden formation on the ground. Swoosh! Suddenly, a bright golden light illuminated the cave, blinding Ethan's soul view. What's happening? Can't I see how my body is recreated? Ethan was slightly dissatisfied that the golden light prevented him from witnessing the reconstruction process. Ding, the host's body has been successfully reconstructed. Ding, the host's soul can now enter the reconstructed body to complete the final step of the revival process. As the golden light faded, a naked, uninjured body lay in the cave. It was the very body Ethan had transmigrated into, now perfected and radiating newfound vitality. Swoosh! Soon, Ethan's soul was pulled into the body by a mysterious energy. He didn't resist, allowing himself to be drawn into his newly reconstructed form. Ding, the host has successfully completed the revival. Ethan slowly opened his eyes as the system notification echoed in his mind. My cultivation, it really is at level 6G refining stage. The moment Ethan opened his eyes, he hurriedly checked his cultivation and became excited. Calm down, calm down. Ethan suppressed his excitement as he muttered, first, let's make some changes to my face. Swish arg, in no time, he conjured fire and burned half of his face. That's right. He burned half of his face to ensure that no one would connect him to Kai. If someone discovered that a disciple who had failed to break through to level 2 Chi refining realm and was kicked out of the sect had suddenly reached level 6 Chi refining realm, he would be tortured for his secret. Although the original body's owner was not famous, there might still be some sect disciples who recognize him. Ethan had thought long and hard about how to conceal his identity, and this was the only viable solution he could think of. However, he was not worried about his burned face, as it would be restored upon his next revival. The second important thing is to set the save point. Ethan decided to use this cave as the save point for his future revivals. He didn't have any other well-hidden locations, and he felt that this cave was secluded enough to serve as a reliable save point. Ding, host, are you sure about setting your save point here in the hidden cave? Yes. Ethan nodded. Ding, the save point for future revivals has been saved. Please give it a name. A name? Let's go with Hidden Cave. Ethan was not in the mood to waste time thinking of a name for his save point. So, he gave it a quick and simple name before focusing on the next step of his plan. It's time to leave. He quickly put on new clothes from his bag before leaving the hidden cave. The daytime in a cultivation world was already filled with dangers, let alone the nighttime. As for why he didn't choose to stay in the cave, he was worried that the assassin might return. Nevertheless, with his current cultivation, Ethan was confident that he could escape from most dangers. Also, I still have the revival life card to use in case I encounter a truly powerful foe. Swish swish. Luckily, with his shadow steps technique, Ethan managed to avoid danger and safely reached the nearest town, Ironwood Town, the same town he had stayed in yesterday. There was a strong reason why Ethan returned to Ironwood Town despite the possibility of encountering the mysterious assassin. Ironwood Town was managed by the Skycloud sect, and fighting, let alone killing, was strictly forbidden within its boundaries. That was precisely why the assassin had waited until Ethan had left the town before striking. For the next 7 days, I will rest here. With the system at his side, as long as Ethan remained cautious and strategic, reaching the pinnacle of cultivation was merely a matter of time. His strategy was simple: lay low until his revival ability came off cooldown. Please show an identity plaque or pay a spirit stone to enter Ironwood Town. The 2 guards at the town's entrance stopped Ethan, requesting the entry fee. All sect disciples possessed an identity plaque and, therefore, didn't need to pay the entry fee. However, loose cultivators had to pay an entry fee of 1 spirit stone. Spirit stones were special stones filled with rich spiritual essence, used by cultivators for both cultivation and currency. I want to use this chi refining pill as an entry fee. Earlier, while waiting in the soul realm for an hour, Ethan had spent time understanding his godly revival system. He had also gone through Kai's memories multiple times to familiarize himself with this world. Thus, as part of his plan to return to Ironwood Town, Ethan had spent 10 life points to purchase a bottle of chi refining pills from the interface of the killer's stats, intending to use one pill as an entry fee. As for the identity plaque, he could have used his old plaque as an ex-disciple of the sect. However, he didn't want to reveal his identity. Exposing himself just to save a single pill would only complicate things. Sure. The guard registered Ethan's entry as a loose cultivator and handed him a token with the word iron engraved on it. With this iron token, you can freely enter and exit Ironwood Town for an entire month. One of the guards informed Ethan before allowing him inside. Phew. I finally entered the town. Once Ethan was inside, he heaved a sigh of relief. Everything had gone smoothly without any issues. Now, all I have to do is lay low for the next 7 days. Despite having an impressive cultivation for his age, Ethan was not arrogant. He had many things he wanted to accomplish in this life, things he had failed to do in his past life. With such thoughts in mind, he quickly found an inn and paid for 7 days with 5 chi refining pills, which also covered his meals. Inside his room, ding, host name, Ethan Kai. Lifespan, 1685 cultivation, level 6 chi refining realm. Cultivation techniques, cloud grasping art, spark stage, shadow steps, beginner stage. Cultivation talents, none. Spirit root, chaotic multi-attribute root, fire, water, earth, wind, and metal. Ethan lay down on the bed and finally reviewed his status. The cloud grasping art must be the basic cultivation technique given by the Sky Cloud sect to cultivate. A cultivator requires a cultivation technique to harness spiritual essence from nature. The higher their mastery of the technique, the faster and more efficiently they could absorb spiritual essence. Of course, that was only one of the factors that determined cultivation speed. Other factors included the grade of the cultivation technique, the type of environment, and, most importantly, the spirit root. Kai's mastery of the cloud grasping art had yet to reach even the beginner stage, and coupled with his abysmal spirit root, the lowest possible grade, he had failed the sex assessment test. The test required him to reach level 2 chi refining stage within a year, and since he had failed, he was expelled. Anyway, with the godly revival system, I can bypass such limitations and rapidly increase my cultivation. His level 6 chi refining realm cultivation was proof of what the system could do. However, how far he could rise in power would ultimately depend on how well Ethan utilized the godly revival system. Time continued to pass, and 2 days went by peacefully, at least for Ethan. Inside the Sky Cloud sect, Master, I have brought all the heads as you ordered. Inside a dark room, a masked man quickly took out a dozen heads from his storage ring and placed them on the ground. If Ethan were here, he would have instantly recognized the masked man. It was the very assassin who had taken his life. Huh. The assassin frowned when he sensed that one head was missing from his collection. However, he remained silent. Swish! In the next second, a shadow swept across the floor, pulling all the heads into the darkness. Kakapuchi gulp! Soon, the air was filled with the sounds of eating, making the assassin's back break into a cold sweat. Where is the head of the disciple named Kai? After a few moments, a slightly displeased voice echoed in the dark room, making the assassin's heart skip a beat. Master, I have. Are you telling me that I am lying about it? Before the assassin could finish his words, the eerie voice interrupted him. Sorry, Master. I will go right away and bring it for you. The assassin didn't dare claim that he had already completed the task. Instead, he apologized. I need his head, at any cost. Bring me his head to collect your reward. The eerie voice commanded, and the assassin quietly left the dark room. Damn it! I clearly remember storing it in my storage ring. Did I drop it somewhere? The assassin was confused about Ethan's missing head and quickly summoned his spirit pet, a small black-colored serpent. It was called the Blood Sniffer Serpent, a creature capable of tracking its targets. That was how the assassin had been able to locate Kai and his other targets. Find the head. The assassin took out a beast's skin with Ethan's drawing and a blood imprint before ordering his spirit pet to search for Ethan's head. In his mind, he must have accidentally dropped Ethan's head somewhere and prayed he could find it again. However, never in his wildest dreams would the assassin have guessed that Ethan was alive and currently lying low in Ironwood Town. 2 days passed in a flash, and it had now been 4 days since Ethan entered Ironwood Town. Let's go out and explore the town a bit. Ethan was completely oblivious to the fact that the assassin was searching for his head as he decided to explore the town. After staying in his room for 4 days, Ethan was bored. After much hesitation, he finally decided to step outside. Since fighting was forbidden in Ironwood Town, Ethan wasn't too worried and left the inn. Looking for cultivators with a cultivation of level 4 Chi refining realm and above to enter the Blackcloud Forest for herb collection. The Stormacloud family is recruiting guards. Anyone with a cultivation of level 4 Chi refining realm and above is eligible. Check out the rank 1 pills refined by one of the Skycloud Sex alchemists. Pay just 10 spirit stones to buy the spirit beast egg. The first place Ethan went to after leaving the inn was the marketplace, where cultivators were being recruited for various tasks, and loose cultivators were buying and selling all kinds of resources. Experiencing this personally feels completely different from my memories. For Ethan, everything seemed fascinating, however, aside from observing, he did nothing. With his current wealth, he couldn't afford to buy anything, even if he wanted to. Attention, everyone. The Skycloud sect is still recruiting cultivators to cut down ironwood trees. For every 100 ironwood trees, the cultivator will be paid 10 spirit stones. Interested loose cultivators can directly go to Ironwood Forest. Suddenly, an announcement from a middle-aged man wearing a sect uniform caught Ethan's attention. Ironwood had multiple uses in alchemy, weapon making, formations, and spiritual arrays, making it highly sought after by the Skycloud sect. However, compared to other trees, cutting down ironwood required significantly more strength. 10 spirit stones for cutting 100 ironwood trees. With Ethan's current cultivation, he could cut 100 ironwood trees in a day if he put in the effort, allowing him to earn 10 spirit stones. For loose cultivators at the Chi refining stage, earning 10 spirit stones per day was a dream, and Ethan was tempted. No. Let's not be greedy for some spirit stones. Nevertheless, Ethan quickly shook off the idea. If the job was within Ironwood Town, he might have considered it. However, leaving the town meant losing his protection. I just need to wait for 3 more days. He reminded himself that the cooldown of his ability would be over in 3 days. Soon, Ethan resumed strolling through the town when he suddenly received a series of system notifications. Ding, the system has detected that the host's killer is close by. Ding, initiating a choice-based quest for the host. Please select a mission you want to complete. Ding, 1, mission name, the cycle repeats. Mission details, you died once, and you fear not dying again at the hands of the same killer. Reward, 10 life points. Ding, 2, mission name, draw first blood. Mission details, make the killer spill blood and achieve a small victory. Reward, 50 life points. Ding, 3, mission name, an eye for an eye. Mission details, kill the killer and achieve a big victory. Reward, a special talent. What? The assassin is nearby. Ethan was shocked for a moment before suppressing his emotions. After that, he scanned his surroundings and spotted a familiar masked man in the distance. Did he recognize me? Ethan quietly observed the masked man and noticed confused eyes. Suddenly, it made Ethan feel a deep sense of foreboding creeping over him. No. He can't recognize me. However, Ethan tried his best to act normal. Not only had Ethan burnt his face, but his cultivation was also at level 6 Chi refining realm. With these two things, Ethan was confident that no one could connect him with a disciple who failed to break through to level 2 Chi refining realm and got kicked out of the sect. Is he the one storing the head in his storage ring? But why? On the other hand, the assassin was frowning, looking at Ethan as he didn't understand why someone would store a head in their storage ring. Since Ethan was covering his burnt face and the assassin had killed Ethan with his own hands, he didn't think the person he was currently looking at was Ethan. Instead, he assumed that Ethan's head was stored in the storage ring of the person he was currently watching. It was because his blood sniffer was hissing at that person. Let's observe him and wait until he leaves the town before making a move. The assassin silently thought in his head. As long as I am in the town, he won't make any moves? After suppressing his anxiousness, Ethan calmly assessed the situation as he checked out the 3 missions issued by the system. If only I knew exactly how powerful the assassin is, I could decide which mission to select. Ethan didn't make a hasty decision. Instead, he complained that it would be good to have some information on the assassin. Ding, retrieving the information on the host's killer. You can retrieve the data of my killer? Great. Ethan was excited as he found another hidden feature of the system. Ding, killer's name, Shadow Ryu. Cultivation, level 9 Chi refining realm, completion. Lifespan, 35/150. Soon, the information of the assassin appeared in front of Ethan. However, the lifespan section caught Ethan's eyes. He must be quite rich to afford the cultivation resources that increase lifespan. Generally, a Chi cultivator reaching the completion realm would have 100 years of lifespan. However, the assassin had 50 years more lifespan than his peers. Without a doubt, the additional lifespan was a result of using special cultivation resources. Looks like I have a chance to get rid of this assassin once and for all. Soon after, Ethan checked the assassin's cultivation realm and his eyes lit up. Nevertheless, he thought about it for a few moments before making his decision. System, I will pick the 3rd mission. Although the 3rd mission was hard, Ethan thought of a way to complete it and he was confident that his plan would work. For now, I only have a rough plan, however, I can perfect it. Since he required his revival ability to execute the plan, Ethan was not in a hurry to complete the mission. Moreover, there was no time limit for the mission. By chance, even if my plan fails, I can still complete the mission the following week, which only increases my chances of killing the assassin. There was no reason for Ethan to give up the generous reward from the 3rd mission. The first 2 missions only rewarded him with 10 and 50 life points respectively. However, compared to the life points, a special talent was what Ethan was more interested in. In this world, there were people born with special talents or who acquired them due to some fortuitous encounters. Anyone who awakened a special talent would have an easier time becoming powerful in this cultivation world. System, can you give me hints about what kind of special talent I will receive? Ethan was curious about the special talent and asked the system. Ding, please complete the mission to receive the special talent along with its full information. However, the system didn't give any hints and asked him to complete the mission. Fine. Ethan gave up on learning more about the reward as he strolled the marketplace for a while before going back to the inn. He is following me, but looks like he doesn't have any plans to attack me. Good. Ethan noticed the assassin. However, he was no longer worried about him and decided to focus on his plan. He noticed me but still brought me to the place he was staying. As an assassin who had completed dozens of missions, how could he not know that he was noticed by his target? Despite knowing that, his target still brought him to the place where he was staying, making the assassin question Ethan's intentions. Should I just go and ask him about the head? The assassin thought about it for a moment before shaking his head. Let's observe him more before making a move. Time continued to pass, and in a flash, 3 more days passed by. In the room, Ethan finally received the system notification that he was waiting for. Ding, the host's godly revival ability has come out of cooldown. Now, he can explore the dangers of the cultivation world without worrying about death. It's time to settle the score. With a determined look in his eyes, Ethan left the inn first before leaving Ironwood Town. Swish behind him, a silhouette silently moved, its steps barely disturbing the stillness of the night. Since Ethan revived at night, the godly revival ability also came out of cooldown at night exactly after 7 days. As soon as he received the system, Ethan didn't waste any time leaving the town, knowing that the assassin would follow him. "You can come out now," Ethan said in a steady voice but carried a sharp edge of defiance. The air grew heavy as the masked man stepped out of the shadows, his presence exuding danger. The assassin didn't speak as he silently looked at Ethan, whose face was half covered and half burnt. "You want the head in my possession, right?" Looking at the assassin, Ethan asked while maintaining his calm tone. Since death would only make him more powerful, Ethan was no longer worried about dying. Thus, he was able to maintain a calm look even in front of his killer. Moreover, Ethan had already figured out that the assassin didn't know he was the same person he had killed a week ago. Hence, he decided to use that to his advantage. "I don't know who you are, but you are going to die tonight." Hearing Ethan's words, the assassin swore to kill Ethan because the mission he was assigned was top secret, and anyone who knew even the slightest information had to be killed. Only the dead keep the secrets. This was the motto he believed in and followed. Swoosh shadow step swish. Ethan used his movement cultivation technique to barely dodge the incoming assassin's attack. "I wonder what happens if your employer finds out you didn't bring the target's head." Despite the fact that he barely escaped the deadly strike, Ethan continued to maintain his calmness as he followed his plan to agitate the assassin. When he successfully revived, Ethan noticed that his previous body had disappeared and hence, he guessed that the head in the assassin's possession must have vanished. He also guessed that the assassin had a way to track him, and since no one could guess that Ethan had the ability to revive, not especially the assassin who had killed him with his own hands, he planned to exploit that advantage. For that, you need to stay alive. The assassin was slightly agitated, however, he remained rational and attacked Ethan for the second time with his dagger. He is using shadow steps. At the same time, he recognized Ethan's movement technique, however, he didn't think much about it, as anyone with some money and connections could buy it. As for the connections, the assassin wasn't too worried since the cultivator in front of him was only a level 6G refining cultivator. "Do you really think I am alone, Shadow Ryu?" Ethan scoffed at the assassin's threatening words as he used shadow steps to run away from the assassin into the depths of the Black Cloud Forest. This time, he intentionally mentioned the assassin's name, shocking him. "He even knows my name. I can't let him live. I can't let him live." If the assassin was slightly agitated earlier, now he was completely shaken. He wanted nothing more than to kill the person in front of him. Soon, he followed Ethan into the Black Cloud Forest using shadow steps. The Black Cloud Forest was a dangerous wilderness filled with many spirit beasts that had strength equivalent to the Foundation Establishment realm and even the Golden Core realm. The most important part of Ethan's plan was to lure the assassin into the Black Cloud Forest, and he successfully did it. The first step of the plan is successful. Ethan smiled a little as everything was going smoothly, and the subsequent steps of his plan were not difficult. "Shadow Ryu, who is your employer? If you tell me, I can give you the head." While running away, Ethan tried to bargain with the assassin. Although there was a 3-level difference in their cultivation, within the chi refining stage, the disparity in strength wasn't great. Hence, Ethan was able to dodge and run, however, it wouldn't be long before the spirit essence in his essence pool was consumed. All cultivators possessed an essence pool, a vital reservoir where they stored the spirit essence absorbed from nature through their cultivation techniques. The higher the cultivation level, the larger the essence pool became, allowing for the storage of greater quantities of spirit essence. Moreover, spirit essence was the fuel needed to use cultivation techniques like shadow steps. Since the assassin's cultivation was 3 levels higher than Ethan's, Ethan could not outperform him just based on spirit essence. I just have to lure him a little deeper into the black cloud forest. Ethan pushed himself to the limit as he continued to lure the assassin into the forest. Swish swish, do you think you can outrun me? As expected, it didn't take long for the assassin to catch up to Ethan, aiming to kill him in a single strike. I know that. Suddenly, Ethan turned around and used his right hand to block the incoming dagger. Swish, at the same time, Ethan threw a glass bottle at the assassin with his left hand. Poochie clang swoosh, the assassin slashed at Ethan's right hand with lightning speed. At the same time, before he could react, the glass bottle was already too close, shattering on impact and releasing sparkling powder all over the assassin's body. This is beast essence powder. The assassin was shocked to realize he had been tricked, and now, it was too late for him. The beast essence powder was a special powder created using the blood beast grass that could not only attract but also agitate the spirit beasts within a radius of 1 kilometer. Ethan used 4 chi refining pills to exchange for this beast essence powder, which was quite expensive. However, Ethan didn't hesitate to buy it. Since Ethan had lured the assassin more than a dozen kilometers into the black cloud forest, there was no way for the assassin to escape without a huge fight. Roar hiss, soon, their surroundings were filled with roars and hisses as all the spirit beasts within a 1 kilometer radius became agitated. I hope you survive and escape from the black cloud forest. Since it was his plan to use the beast essence powder, Ethan didn't waste any time and quickly headed toward the exit of the black cloud forest, holding his injured hand. Nevertheless, before leaving, he didn't offer any words of encouragement to the assassin. Damn you, B*****. Recovering from his shock, the assassin cursed Ethan and also ran toward the exit. However, it was already too late for him, as some of the spirit beasts had already caught up to him. Die. Slash. Despite being surrounded by the spirit beasts, the assassin didn't give up easily. He slashed the spirit beasts to death while moving toward the exit of the black cloud forest. The beast essence powder used by Ethan was just a low-level medicine that attracted and affected the minds of only rank 1 and rank 2 spirit beasts. Like cultivation realms for cultivators, spirit beasts also have ranks depending on their strength, starting from rank 1. Rank 1 and rank 2 spirit beasts have strength equivalent to chi refining cultivators. However, within the same rank, spirit beasts are stronger thanks to their primitive and bestial nature. Similar to cultivation realms for cultivators, spirit beasts are classified into ranks based on their strength, starting from rank 1. Rank 1 and rank 2 spirit beasts possess strength comparable to levels 1 to 5 and levels 6 to 9 chi refining cultivators, respectively. However, within the same rank, spirit beasts often hold the upper hand due to their primal instincts and ferocious nature. Swoosh. Phew, everything went as smoothly as I planned. Now, all I have to do is wait for him to exit the forest. As for Ethan, he encountered a few rank 1 spirit beasts on his way. However, thanks to his level 6 chi refining cultivation and shadow steps, he was able to escape them easily. If others had Ethan's cultivation, they could have easily killed the beasts. However, his case was different as he had 0 battle experience. With his completion level chi refining cultivation, there is no way he would die from the onslaught of rank 1 and rank 2 spirit beasts. Standing outside the black cloud forest, Ethan tended to his injured hand and patiently waited for the assassin. It might be very difficult for other cultivators with the same cultivation realm as the assassin to escape the onslaught of the spirit beasts. However, Ethan believed that as an assassin, he must have quite a few tricks up his sleeve. Time continued to pass, and in a flash, 1 hour had gone by when a blood-soaked figure staggered out of the forest. eyes full of killing intent. I guessed it correctly. You are not someone who dies easily. Ethan was not surprised at the assassin's survival, as it was within his expectations. You, cough. The assassin was already determined to kill Ethan, but hearing his words only fueled his agitation, causing him to cough up a mouthful of blood. Thud. Before Ethan could react, the assassin fell to the ground, the dagger slipping from his hands and landing near Ethan's feet. Is he dead? Ethan didn't rush to check on the assassin because it might be a trap, where the assassin would strike when he got closer. Ding, the killer is not dead yet. The mission is not completed. Suddenly, Ethan received a system notification, confirming his earlier guess. I know you are acting. If you tell me the name of your employer, I can give you a quick death. Since he got confirmation from the system, Ethan questioned the assassin about the one who wanted him dead. Why you are sharp? But, do why you think I will tell why you. The assassin struggled to lift his head and weakly replied to Ethan with a cold smirk. I knew it. Ethan shook his head, deciding to complete the mission without wasting any more time. Shuffle. Ethan picked up the assassin's dagger from his feet and slowly walked toward the assassin. I can kill him. I am killing an assassin who killed me and will kill me again. I have to kill him. I can't give him time to heal his injuries. With each step he took, Ethan felt like he was crossing an invisible boundary, one that he could never return from. He had the perfect chance, the perfect excuse, but his hand trembled as the thought of killing someone loomed over him like a storm. Nevertheless, Ethan continued to prepare himself, because this was no longer the modern world but a cultivation world where killing others was as common as drinking coffee. Pucci. He steeled his heart and finally pierced the dagger into the assassin's body. There was no technique or precision. It was only Ethan's determination to live and become stronger in this world, to erase the regrets of his past life. Pucci. Is this his divine retribution? Or was it because he was too confident in killing me that my plan worked so smoothly? Pulling out the dagger, Ethan pondered, concluding that it was divine retribution for all the innocent lives the assassin had taken, fate making him encounter Ethan, a transmigrator with a cheat. Ding, congratulations to the host for successfully completing the mission Eye for an Eye. Ding, the host is rewarded with a special talent, I am your killer. What followed next was the system's congratulatory notification and the reward for completing the mission. I am your killer? Sounds interesting. Just the name alone made Ethan excited. However, before he could check the information on his new special talent, he received a series of system notifications that gave him another round of excitement. Ding, the host's special talent I am your killer is triggered. Ding, the host has received 115 life points. Ding, the host's lifespan has been increased by 15 years. Ding, the host's mastery of shadow steps has been upgraded from the beginner stage to the small success stage. This, the effects of my special talent look really generous. Ethan received 3 things, and all of them were quite valuable, making him curious about his new special talent. At the same time, his inner dilemma about killing someone, which had already lessened when he received his special talent, disappeared completely after seeing the gains. Let's check the details of the special talent to get a better understanding. Ethan believed that only by fully understanding his talent could he make the most of it. Thus, he decided to check its information. Before that, it's better to leave here. Ethan quickly checked the assassin's body and found only a storage ring, which he took before hurrying away. After collecting the spoils of war, Ethan rushed to the hidden cave, which was closer compared to Ironwood Town. Inside the hidden cave, system, show me the information on my special talent. The first thing he did after settling in was to check out his special talent. Ding, special talent, I am your killer effects. The talent holder can extract the following things from his target. Life points, the remaining lifespan of the target will be converted into life points and extracted into the host. Lifespan, 10% of the target's lifespan will be extracted. Cultivation technique, if the target has the same cultivation technique, the mastery of that technique will also be extracted. Description, I am your killer, and I take more than just your life. The full information about I am your killer appeared in front of Ethan, and as he read through each effect, his heartbeat quickened. Am I going to walk the path of mad killing? Looking at the details of his special talent, Ethan felt his initial excitement fade, replaced by a lingering unease. The thought of becoming a deranged psychopath, slaughtering others just to grow stronger, sent a chill down his spine. At the beginning, it might seem exciting and fun, just like my office work. However, as time passed, I forgot that I had a family and a life. It only reminded Ethan of his past life. Ding, note, the talent only considers those who killed the host as targets. So, killing random cultivators won't grant any of these benefits. Suddenly, a system notification popped up, making Ethan realize he had misunderstood his special talent. His lingering uneasiness disappeared. Killing my killers to grow stronger feels far more justifiable than turning into a mindless psychopath. Just because he had transmigrated into a dangerous cultivation world didn't mean he wanted to kill others without a strong reason. It was also the reason Ethan was able to kill the assassin in the first place. Otherwise, there was no way he would have taken someone's life so easily. Those who take my life should be prepared to lose theirs in return. With that thought in mind, Ethan's love for his new talent reached a whole new level. Ding, host name, Ethan Kai. Lifespan, 1685, plus 15. Cultivation, level 6G refining realm. Cultivation technique, cloud grasping art, spark stage, shadow steps, small success stage. Cultivation talents, none. Special talents, I am your killer. Spirit root, chaotic multi-attribute root, fire, water, earth, wind, and metal. Life points, 163. System items, revival life card, a free voucher worth 100 life points. Next, Ethan checked his interface and noted changes in his lifespan, cultivation technique, and life points. The next time I die, I will gain an extra 15 life points. Although 15 life points wasn't much, it was a good improvement compared to his first death. The only sad part is that I still don't know who wants to kill me. Ethan was happy with everything except the fact that he couldn't get any information from the assassin regarding his employer. Thinking about it only gives me a headache. If someone really wants to kill me, they'll come for me again. With his current strength and the godly revival ability refreshed, Ethan was no longer worried about death and instead focused on the storage ring he had collected from the assassin's body. Owning a storage ring had always been Kai's dream, and now, I got my hands on one. Ethan bitterly shook his head and injected a bit of spirit essence into it. Since the previous owner of the storage ring was dead, there was no need for Ethan to break any seals. With just a little of his spirit essence, Ethan saw the small space inside the storage ring filled with various items. Ding, the storage ring contains the following items: 1. Low-level spirit stones x 153. 2. Chi refining pills x 50. 3. Minor foundation pill x 1. As he checked the items, a screen appeared in front of Ethan, displaying the contents of the storage ring. He had a minor foundation pill. Ethan wasn't surprised by the spirit stones and chi refining pills, but he was pleasantly surprised to see a special rank 1 pill inside a pill that could cause an uproar among low-level loose cultivators. For cultivators at the end of their lifespan, stuck at the completion stage of the chi refining realm, this pill gave them a second chance by helping them break through to the foundation establishment realm. Of course, the downside was that the consumer would forever be stuck in the foundation establishment realm. If I auction it, I can easily earn thousands of spirit stones. Ethan had memories of the uproar caused whenever a minor foundation pill appeared. For now, I don't have any plans to sell it and attract attention. Ethan wanted to maintain a low profile for a while, so he didn't bother taking the items out. For tonight, I will rest before I go meet my new parents. Since nighttime in the cultivation world was dangerous, Ethan decided to rest in the hidden cave. A few hours later, outskirts of the Black Cloud Forest, what a piece of waste. Can't even complete a simple bronze mission, and what's worse, he ends up dying on the job. A masked man in black robes observed the bloodied corpse before him and mocked it. Do I have to use the expensive killer tracking talisman to avenge this failure? Looking at the corpse, the masked man felt annoyed. A killer tracking talisman was a special rank 1 talisman that cost as much as a rank 2 talisman. The thought of using such an expensive item for someone who had failed a simple mission irritated him. Just as the masked man was about to activate a blood-colored talisman, he noticed a slight movement in the corpse before a small snake slithered out. Blood sniffer serpent. Seeing the snake, the masked man's eyes lit up as he hurriedly grabbed it. Can you track the one who killed your master? Surprisingly, the black snake didn't resist. Instead, it nodded in response. That's right. The black snake was none other than the blood sniffer serpent used by the assassin Shadow Ryu to track his targets. Its master had been killed right before its eyes, and as a support-type spirit beast, it lacked any offensive skills. It had patiently waited for its master's associates to come so it could take revenge. Great. You just saved me a lot of spirit stones. Elated by the blood sniffer serpent's response, the masked man ordered it to track its master's killer. Looks like today is really my lucky day. The masked man smirked, pleased with how things had turned in his favor. Both Shadow Ryu and the masked man belonged to the same organization, the Eternal Shadow Guild. Whenever a member of this organization gets killed, the nearest guild member receives a soul whisper, guiding them to the corpse or the spot where the guild member was slain. If a guild member of the Eternal Shadow Guild avenges the death of a fallen comrade, they are rewarded with multiple perks by the guild. These perks include enhanced cultivation resources, rare artifacts, or unique techniques reserved for those who uphold the guild's code of vengeance. Because of such perks, nearly every member of the Eternal Shadow Guild carries a killer tracking talisman, despite its exorbitant cost, and the masked man was no exception. Looks like today is really my lucky day. Today, not only did he finally receive his first soul whisper since joining the organization, but he also managed to save his killer tracking talisman, thanks to his fallen comrade's blood sniffer serpent. Hence, the masked man believed that today was his luckiest day. With such thoughts in mind, he quickly followed behind the blood sniffer serpent. In the hidden cave now, it is time to check on my new parents. Ethan woke up an hour before sunrise and prepared to start his journey. Thinking about meeting his parents, he felt excitement welling up inside him. One of his greatest regrets in his past life was not taking care of his parents. Since he had already accepted his new life and wanted to live it to the fullest, Ethan had also accepted this body's parents as his own. He saw them as his true parents. Given that the cultivation world was filled with dangers, Ethan had originally planned to wait until his godly revival ability came off cooldown. However, his plans changed slightly due to his unexpected reunion with the assassin. Now that he had eliminated the assassin and his godly revival ability had been refreshed, Ethan decided it was time to start his journey back to his village. Swish soon, he left the hidden cave and rushed in the direction of Silvermoon Village, his home. Shadow Steps swoosh. It's quite convenient to have a mastery of the small success stage in Shadow Steps. Ethan was using Shadow Steps, making his speed incredibly fast, so much so that even regular Chi completion realm cultivators would struggle to catch him. Swoosh, however, a silhouette trailed silently behind him, moving effortlessly at a speed that surpassed Ethan's Shadow Steps. Is he the one who killed your master? While keeping a safe distance and ensuring Ethan remained completely unaware, the masked man asked the blood sniffer serpent in a low voice. The blood sniffer serpent hissed in agitation, confirming that Ethan was indeed its master's killer. Good. The masked man smiled excitedly. How many good things can happen to me in a single day? The killer only has level 6 Chi refining cultivation, so I can take care of him with ease. Although the target looks easy, I should still be careful. He didn't forget that the same cultivator in front of him had managed to kill a Chi completion realm cultivator. Thus, the masked man decided to proceed cautiously and swiftly kill the target before he could even react. Let's go. Once the masked man settled on his plan, he wasted no time, pushing his speed to its limits. Swish, the lingering darkness worked in his favor, allowing him to slip past Ethan unnoticed as he took cover behind a large boulder, waiting patiently for his target. Swish, on the other hand, Ethan had heightened his senses to the fullest, yet he remained oblivious to the masked man's actions. Swish die. Just as Ethan was passing by the boulder, he noticed a silhouette lunging at him. Pucci, however, he was slower than the incoming attack and failed to dodge the dagger that pierced through his heart. The last thing Ethan remembered was the heart-piercing pain. Then, suddenly, he found himself in soul form, receiving a series of system notifications. Ding! Godly revival ability has been triggered. The host will be revived in 1 hour. Ding! The host has received 84 life points. Ding! Generating the interface of killer's stats for the host to purchase items from. Please wait. Who killed me this time? Ethan gritted his teeth and immediately spent 1 life point to activate Soul Sight. Another assassin. Ethan frowned when he saw the masked man in black robes. As long as I submit his head, I can claim the rewards. The masked man spoke in a low voice, but Ethan heard it loud and clear. Don't tell me. Before Ethan could finish his thought, he saw the masked man chop off his head, making him shiver unconsciously. Damn it, what kind of sick B** stars are after me? First, it was Shadow Ryu, and now, another assassin was doing the same to his body. Ethan cursed inwardly at the absurdity of it all. System, show me the details of my killer. Since he could obtain information on his killer, Ethan wanted to know his exact strength. Ding! Killer's name, Shadow Lee. Cultivation, Chi refining realm, completion stage. Lifespan, 30/150. He has the same cultivation as Shadow Ryu. Once I complete my purchase, I think I can kill him. Ethan silently swore to take revenge on this new assassin, Shadow Lee. Damn it, he's even taking the storage ring. Not only had Shadow Lee taken his life severing his head with terrifying precision, but he also seized the storage ring containing all of Ethan's wealth. Watching this ignited Ethan's fury, fueling an overwhelming desire to take revenge. It all depends on my next purchase. Suppressing his rage, Ethan waited for the interface of killer's stats, which appeared moments later. This. Looking at the system interface in front of him, Ethan was suddenly thrilled. Ding! Interface of killer's stats. Ding! Interface of killer's stats 1, Cultivation Chi refining completion stage, 100 life points. 2, Cultivation Technique Shadow Steps, completion stage, 200 life points. 3, Inventory Killer Tracking Talisman, 50 life points. Available life points, 247 plus free voucher worth 100 life points. Note, 1. The available items in the interface of killer's stats will reset in a week. Please buy them before that. I can not only buy the full cultivation of this new assassin but even upgrade my shadow steps to the completion stage. How could Ethan not be happy with the interface of killer's stats when he could buy 2 things that would make him as powerful as the assassin who killed him? For Chi refining cultivators, having a cultivation technique at the completion stage is considered an achievement, and now, Ethan could be considered the strongest cultivator below the foundation establishment realm. I will buy both the cultivation and the cultivation techniques mastery. Controlling his excitement, Ethan directly bought them. Ding! The host has spent a free voucher worth 100 life points to buy the cultivation of the Chi refining completion stage. Ding! the host has spent 200 life points to upgrade the mastery of shadow steps from the small success stage to the completion stage. Ding, available life points, 47. Ding, the purchased items will be reflected upon your revival. Soon, a series of system notifications appeared in his head, informing him of his purchases and the available life points. If only I had 3 more life points, I could buy the killer tracking talisman. Although there was no information about that talisman in Kai's memories, Ethan could guess its effects, and for someone like him, it was a useful item. Nevertheless, Ethan was happy with the first 2 items he bought and patiently waited for his revival. If my guess is correct, after my revival, the assassin might come looking for me. Since the previous assassin was looking for his head, Ethan guessed that upon his successful revival, the head taken away by the assassin would disappear. When that happens, the assassin could track him just like how Shadow Ryu had tracked him. Therefore, Ethan looked forward to his revival while planning his revenge. Time continued to pass, and in a flash, Ethan's 1-hour waiting time in soul form ended as he received a series of system notifications in his head. Ding, the 1-hour waiting period for the host's revival is complete. Ding, the host can either be revived at the death point or at the save point he has saved. Ding, please choose the location you want to revive. I want to revive at the save point. Although there are hardly any cultivators here, let's be safe and revive at the save point. There was hardly any distance between the save point and the death point. The death point was in open ground, and someone might notice his eye-catching revival. Hence, Ethan chose to revive at his save point, which was a hidden cave. Swish! In the next moment, Ethan lost his soul sight as his revival process started inside the hidden cave. It didn't take much time for the revival process to complete as Ethan opened his eyes in his fully healed body, now much stronger than before his death. The most noticeable thing was that his previously burnt face had now become flawless. This, my storage ring is back. The first thing that caught Ethan's eyes after waking up was the storage ring that had been taken by the assassin. No item is missing. He hurriedly checked inside the storage ring and became excited before concluding, with my revival, I can get back the things that were on my body before dying. Great. Now, I am sure the assassin will come running for me. With the new revelation that he revived with all his items intact, Ethan believed that the assassin would come for him at any cost. Losing 153 low-level spirit stones and 50 chi refining pills was enough for any chi refining cultivator to go crazy, not to mention losing a minor foundation pill worth thousands of spirit stones. Before he comes, I should start executing the plan. Although Ethan now possessed the same cultivation level and mastery of shadow steps as Shadow Li, he knew victory was out of reach in a face-to-face battle. Not only did he lack combat experience, but the other party was an assassin with years of killing experience. Hence, Ethan could only resort to underhanded tactics to gain an advantage over his enemy. Inside Ironwood Town, Shadow Li decided to rest in Ironwood Town for a day after completing 2 missions back-to-back. Just as he slept, the blood sniffer serpent suddenly started hissing. Stop hissing in my ears and go to sleep. Shadow Li was very tired, and hearing the hissing sounds made him annoyed and irritated. However, the serpent had no intention of sleeping as it tried to say something to the assassin. I said go to sleep. Li picked up the serpent, spun it, and threw it at the wall. Thud! After hitting the wall, the blood sniffer serpent lost consciousness and fell asleep. Time continued to pass, and in a flash, it was already night when Shadow Li woke up from his sleep. That was the best sleep I've had in months. He was in a good mood, however, it didn't last long when he noticed that his new storage ring was missing. Who stole the storage ring from me? And when? And how? The more Li thought about it, the more furious he became. At the same time, the blood sniffer serpent woke up from its sleep and once again started hissing at Li, further irritating him. He was already frustrated at the fact that he had lost the storage ring, and the proof of his revenge was stored in that storage ring. Without it, he wouldn't get any reward from the guild. Hiss, the blood sniffer serpent had already experienced being thrown before, so it quickly dodged Lee's hand and hissed again, signaling him to follow. Huh? You want me to follow you? Don't tell me. Suddenly, Lee realized what the serpent was trying to say and decided to follow it. Soon, it brought Shadow Lee out of Ironwood Town to the outskirts of Blackcloud Forest, where someone was already waiting for him. Are you looking for this? Ethan asked Lee while showing the storage ring he was wearing. In this world, killing was as common as slaughtering a chicken, especially when treasures like the Minor Foundation pill and spirit stones were at stake. Knowing this, Ethan prepared meticulously for the encounter and waited patiently for Shadow Lee at the entrance of Blackcloud Forest. Are you looking for this? The moment he saw the assassin, Ethan pointed at the storage ring on his finger and provoked Shadow Lee. Who are you, and how dare you steal my storage ring? For a moment, Shadow Lee was scared, however, when he realized the other party was not a Foundation establishment cultivator, he was no longer afraid. With his cultivation and killing experience, Lee was extremely confident in his ability to kill any opponent. Even in the worst case where he failed to secure a kill, he was certain that no one could hinder his escape unless they were a Foundation establishment cultivator. So, Lee threatened Ethan in a cold voice. That's right. Lee didn't, no, he couldn't believe that the person he killed in the morning was the same person standing in front of him. Not only did he kill the person, but he also chopped off his head to claim his reward from the guild. Hence, there was no way he had the slightest idea that Ethan was still alive and standing right in front of him. Who I am doesn't matter, but what matters is whether you want the storage ring or not. Ethan seemed calm and composed on the surface, however, deep down, he was anxious as he was standing in front of a cold assassin who had taken who knows how many lives. It seems the storage ring holds something truly precious to you, or should I say, the head inside it. Before Lee could say anything, Ethan tested Lee's attitude towards the head stored in the storage ring. I don't know how you stole my storage ring, however, if you give it back, I will forgive you. Hearing Ethan's words, Lee frowned, his thoughts faltering as he hesitated to act while Ethan still held the storage ring. He might be able to kill Ethan, however, he feared that Ethan might destroy the storage ring before that. Hence, he decided to take a step back and negotiate with Ethan. When it comes to bluffing, I really am a master. Actually, with Ethan's successful revival, the head inside the storage ring had long disappeared, however, Lee didn't know that. But Ethan's useless skills from his previous life where he always acted tough and capable in front of his parents finally became useful in his new life. I don't need your forgiveness, but I do need some answers from you. Everything went as Ethan planned as he finally asked what he wanted from Lee in exchange for the storage ring. When he was in his soul form, Ethan was furious about being assassinated and wanted revenge. However, upon his revival, he became clear-headed and wanted not just revenge but also answers to some of his questions. There was no chance to get answers from the previous assassin, who remained adamant till his death. However, Ethan believed he could get answers from this new assassin, who seemed to value the storage ring. Huh. Lee frowned, however, he gritted his teeth and agreed to Ethan's condition. Who employed you to kill the owner of the head in your storage ring? Ethan smiled as he asked his first question. No one employed me. I killed him because... Soon, a question and answer session began between Ethan and Lee. While answering, Lee secretly planned, the moment I get the storage ring will be the moment you die. One of the reasons Lee answered Ethan's questions was because, in his heart, he had already sworn to kill Ethan at any cost because only the dead could keep secrets. Even though Shadow Lee shared only common knowledge about his guild that most sects already knew, he didn't want to let Ethan live because of his ego. How dare a loose cultivator steal my items and negotiate with me? Eternal Shadow Guild and Soul Whisper. Although Ethan still didn't know who wanted to kill him, he learned about some new things that shocked him. If I kill this guy, it will only attract more assassins to come after me. After learning about the Soul Whisper, Ethan hesitated to execute the rest of his plan, which was to kill Shadow Lee. Even if I let him live, he won't let me live after what I did to him. Despite being inexperienced in the cultivation world, Ethan knew he had clearly offended the other party. So, he steeled his heart and decided to execute the rest of his plan to complete his revenge. Since I've answered all your questions, it's time for you to uphold your end of the bargain. Lee was barely holding back his temper as he demanded Ethan return the storage ring. Upholding a promise with an assassin? Do you think I am a fool? Ethan scoffed at Shadow Lee and, without wasting any time, took out a bunch of talismans from the storage ring, activated them, and threw them at Lee. From the beginning, Ethan planned to kill Shadow Lee, and for that, he had made thorough preparations. Compared to the time when he planned to kill Shadow Ryu, Ethan now had more spirit stones and experience. So, after reviving, Ethan returned to Ironwood Town, and bought the necessary items for his plan to kill his assassin, and these talismans were among them. The talismans turned into fist-sized water blades in mid-air as they flew toward Lee. Do you think those aqua blade talismans can kill me? Lee had expected Ethan to attack him, however, he hadn't expected the other party to use aqua blade talismans, which were the weakest among rank 1 talismans. Swish splash, he easily cleaved the incoming water blades with his dagger and mocked Ethan. You play with those water blades, I will go now. On the other hand, Ethan threw another dozen water blade talismans before turning around and running into Blackcloud Forest using his shadow steps. Damn you! Since Ethan had the same cultivation level as him, Lee was expecting a proper fight between them, however, he didn't expect the other party to shamelessly run away. Slash splash, seeing Ethan escape, Lee used his full strength to destroy all the water blades before chasing after him into Blackcloud Forest. Swoosh swoosh, Ethan led the way, with Lee hot on his heels, as they plunged several kilometers into the depths of Blackcloud Forest. You can't outrun me. Lee was considered a genius for achieving the completion stage in Shadow Steps before breaking through to the Foundation Establishment realm. So, Lee was confident in catching up to Ethan, and as he thought, it wasn't long before he closed the gap and caught up to him. Die now! While running, Lee swung his dagger to strike Ethan down in a single attack. Swoosh! Suddenly, Ethan's speed doubled as he easily dodged the incoming strike and laughed, "It's not me who will die today, but you." Ethan finally executed the last step of his plan using the Beast Essence powder. Swish clang, soon, one after another, 3 glass bottles smashed against Lee's soaked body, the contents spilling over him. In no time, he was completely enveloped in a radiant Beast Essence powder, amplified by the moisture clinging to him. Previously, when he used the Beast Essence powder on Shadow Ryu, half of the powder had flown away due to the wind. So, Ethan came prepared this time, drenching the assassin with water to make sure the Beast Essence powder stuck to his body. "Why you killed Shadow Ryu like this?" Suddenly, Lee realized that he was getting killed the same way his previous guild member had died. He had mocked Shadow Ryu for getting killed on a basic mission, and now, he was also about to die at the hands of the same person who had been considered nothing more than a basic mission by their guild. "However, before I die, I am going to kill you." Shadow Lee didn't give up despite knowing that survival was impossible for him tonight. Hence, he decided to kill Ethan before he got killed by the rank 1 and rank 2 spirit beasts in Blackcloud Forest. "I have prepared so much to kill you. Do you think I wouldn't prepare something to protect myself?" Ethan scoffed at Shadow Lee before activating a black-colored talisman. Black camouflage talisman swish. In the next moment, Ethan disappeared from Lee's sight, making Lee furious. However, there was nothing he could do about it now as he was already surrounded by the spirit beasts. The black camouflage talisman was a special rank 2 talisman that could temporarily turn the user invisible. Ethan had to spend almost all his spirit stones and chi refining pills to exchange for this talisman. Even if I die, my eternal shadow guild will hunt you down. While fighting the spirit beasts, Shadow Lee maniacally laughed at Ethan's inevitable future, which was bound to end in tragedy. Hearing those words, Ethan remained silent. He was already prepared for the consequences of his actions. Whether he killed Shadow Lee or not, Ethan knew he would be hunted. So, he chose to kill Shadow Lee, having one less enemy to deal with in the future. While in invisibility mode, Ethan continued watching the fight between Shadow Lee and the spirit beasts, which lasted only 30 minutes. Swish as Shadow Lee became a meal for the spirit beasts, Ethan received a series of system notifications, making him happy. Ding, the host's special talent I am your killer has been triggered. A few thousand kilometers away from Ethan's location. Huh? A fellow guild member has fallen. A middle-aged man was tending to his plants when he suddenly received a soul whisper in his ears. This is my first mission since ascending to the Foundation establishment realm. Once I complete it, I can finally afford rank 5 seeds to unlock the new effects of my special talent. The middle-aged man thought with a glimmer of anticipation in his eyes. He was Shadow Lu, a member of the infamous Eternal Shadow Guild. Like any other guild member, receiving a soul whisper, a direct mission order, filled him with excitement. Not only did it mean extra contribution points, but it also presented a stepping stone toward his ultimate goal. With rank 5 spirit plants under my care, I can accelerate my cultivation even further, Lu mused. For years, Lu had dedicated himself to nurturing plants, each harvest strengthening his foundation, eventually reaching the Foundation establishment realm recently. Now, he was confident that by cultivating even higher ranked plants, the path to the Golden Core realm was within reach. It's all thanks to my special talent, he murmured to himself, a small smile playing on his lips. But first, I have to complete this mission. Shadow Lu's eyes gleamed with resolve as he vanished into the shadows, ready to secure his next step toward greatness. In the Black Cloud Forest, ding, the host's special talent I am your killer has been triggered. Ding, the host has received 120 life points. Ding, the host's lifespan has been increased by 15 years. Ding, the host's mastery of shadow steps has been slightly increased. Although I didn't get another storage ring, it is nice to receive extra life points and the increase in my lifespan. Shadow Lee was completely devoured by the spirit beasts, and Ethan didn't bother to risk his life retrieving Lee's storage ring. With the eternal shadows on my back, I can't visit my parents yet. After learning about the Eternal Shadow Guild and the Soul Whisper effect, Ethan knew he was still in danger, and he didn't want to put his new parents in danger too. The main thing to do right now is return to Ironwood Town. The safest place for him right now was Ironwood Town, which was under the control of the Skicloud sect. Hence, without wasting any time, Ethan used the completion stage shadow steps to return to Ironwood Town. Of course, he covered his face before entering the town. System, status. After renting a room at an inn, Ethan checked his status. Ding, host name, Ethan Kai. Lifespan, 16/115. Cultivation, Chi refining realm, completion stage. Cultivation technique, cloud grasping art, spark stage, shadow steps, completion stage. Cultivation talents, none. Special talents, I am your killer. Spirit root, chaotic multi-attribute root, fire, water, earth, wind, and metal. Life points, 117. System items, revival life card. Ethan spent 50 life points to buy the killer tracking talisman because he felt he might need it in the future to find his killer. How could Ethan let go of his killer? Not only to avenge his previous life but also to gain additional lifespan, life points, and mastery of cultivation techniques. With my current cultivation, I can easily join a good cultivation family and slowly begin my new life. In this world, other than the sects, there were cultivation families that recruited good seedlings every now and then. Although they lacked the power and wealth of the great sects, cultivation families still held significant influence within their towns or villages. Ethan, despite his impressive cultivation for his age, knew he couldn't join a sect. His pitiful spirit root would only invite unwanted scrutiny, and the sect might respond with suspicion or worse. Seeking a safer path, Ethan decided to settle down by joining a cultivation family far from the reach of the Skcloud sect. Before that, I have to find a solution to stop the Eternal Shadow Guild from hunting me, Ethan thought grimly. He had no idea who had hired the infamous guild to kill him, but that person was not his immediate concern. What truly troubled him was the endless loop of assassins pursuing him no matter how many he killed, another always followed, thanks to the special effects Soul Whisper. Thus, he decided to find a solution to sever his connection with the Eternal Shadow Guild and create a new identity before joining a cultivation family. Time continued to pass, and in a flash, nearly 7 days had passed since he killed Shadow Lee. During these 7 days, Ethan occasionally left the inn but never ventured outside Ironwood Town. He dedicated most of his time to thinking of a solution to end his toxic relationship with the Eternal Shadow Guild and eventually found a few. As long as one thinks properly, they can find a solution to any problem. After finding multiple solutions to his single problem, Ethan was in a good mood. Ding, the host's godly revival ability has come out of cooldown. The much-awaited system notification appeared in Ethan's head. Since the new assassin is already here, it is time to sever my connection with the Eternal Shadow Guild. Yesterday, while strolling through the market, he felt someone observing and even following him. Without a doubt, Ethan could tell it was the new assassin who had already found him. Since Ethan's revival ability was out of cooldown, he decided not to waste any more time and get done with the Eternal Shadow Guild. Outside Ironwood Town, Swish, as soon as Ethan left Ironwood Town, he chose a particular direction and ran at an extremely high speed. With a mastery of the completion stage in Shadow Steps, even some Foundation establishment cultivators would find it hard to match his current speed. According to the map, it is around 150 kilometers from Ironwood Town. With his current speed, Ethan believed he could reach his desired location within 3 hours. Huh? His mastery over Shadow Steps has reached the completion stage. From a distance, a silhouette was watching Ethan and was shocked. The silhouette belonged to none other than Shadow Lu, who had traveled over 1,000 kilometers to track Ethan and had been silently observing him for the past few days. Despite being a Foundation establishment cultivator, Shadow Lu understood his limitations in the face of the powerful Skcloud sect. Within Ironwood Town, attacking Ethan would be tantamount to courting death, so he refrained from making any reckless moves. Instead, he kept his distance, wary that Ethan might choose to remain within the safety of the town. However, the moment Ethan ventured beyond its borders, Shadow Lu began tailing him without urgency. After all, to him, dealing with a mere chi-refining cultivator was as simple as swatting a fly. Let's see where you are rushing to. Shadow Lu slowly followed Ethan, maintaining a proper distance. Swish. As for Ethan, he pushed himself to his limits, running relentlessly for nearly 3 hours before finally stopping at the edge of a jagged cliff. This is the perfect place to escape from the daggers of the Eternal Shadow Guild. Ethan took a break as he sat on the edge of the cliff and thought, now, the rest depends on the assassin. He really chose a good place to die. Looking at the sunset from the cliff, Shadow Lu smiled. However, he didn't act immediately and silently observed Ethan. It was Shadow Lu's habit to be careful, even when dealing with weak targets, and that's how he had survived until now. After waiting for a while, Shadow Lu finally stepped from the cover of the trees, his figure looming like an executioner. You've run far enough, he said coldly, his voice ice cold, and continued, but this is where it ends. Swish. As soon as he finished his words, Shadow Lu moved at lightning speed, intending to slash Ethan's neck in a single strike. He is fast. Fire Explosion Talisman, activate. Ethan barely saw the incoming attack, and as he prepared, he didn't bother to dodge. Instead, he activated the talisman. Huh? You are quite alert. Shadow Lu was surprised that Ethan was able to activate a talisman in his current situation. However, he was fast enough to slash Ethan's neck, killing him instantly before he gently jumped backwards to avoid the explosion caused by the talisman. Boom! In the next instant, the talisman fully activated, erupting in a powerful explosion that sent shockwaves rippling through the air. The force of the blast hurled Ethan's body off the edge of the cliff, plunging him into the misty abyss below. Since there is no corpse to prove my kill, I can only let them see my memory. Looking at the mist-covered abyss from the cliff's edge, Shadow Lu shook his head. Sharing his memories of today's events was not a problem for Lu, however, it was a painful process that he didn't like. Nevertheless, to claim the reward, he didn't have a choice but to go through with it. Anyway, the mission was completed much sooner than I expected. Shadow Lu comforted himself with the duration of the mission before disappearing into the shadows. From beginning to end, Shadow Lu could never have imagined that every detail, the location, the delayed talisman explosion, even the fall from the cliff, was all meticulously orchestrated within the scope of Ethan's plan. Ding! The godly revival ability has been triggered. The host will be revived in 1 hour. Ding! The host has received 99 life points. Ding! Generating the interface of killer's stats for the host to purchase items from. Please wait. A series of system notifications woke Ethan, but he quickly spent 1 life point to buy Soul Sight to observe his death point. The plan, it finally worked. I no longer have to worry about the Eternal Shadow Guild. Seeing that his corpse had fallen into the misty abyss, Ethan was elated and next checked the assassin who had killed him while waiting for the interface of killer's stats. Whenever Ethan revived, the head in the assassin's storage ring would disappear, making them come searching for it. If he killed them, a new assassin would come for him, seeking revenge for their fallen guild member. Thus, Ethan found a solution to break the vicious cycle with the Eternal Shadow Guild. He had to make his corpse unavailable to the assassin who killed him. Without his corpse, no one would come back searching for it, and Ethan could finally go away and live his new life in peace. Phew, he finally left. Watching Shadow Lu leave, Ethan finally heaved a sigh of relief as he checked the information on his new killer. Ding! Killer's name, Shadow Lu. Cultivation, Level 1 Foundation Establishment Realm. Lifespan, 75/500. Note, a Foundation Establishment cultivator has an average lifespan of 250 years. No wonder he is a Foundation Establishment cultivator. When Lu slashed his neck, Ethan had barely been able to activate his talisman. So, after seeing the strength of his assassin, Ethan understood the reason and became even more excited for the interface of killer's stats. Also, how the hell did he increase his lifespan by 250 years? Other than the cultivation, the killer's lifespan caught Ethan's attention. While he was shocked at the killer's lifespan, the interface of killer's stats appeared in front of Ethan, making him shift his focus. Looking at the items in the interface of killer's stats, Ethan was momentarily shocked before becoming excited. Ding! Interface of killer's stats 1, Cultivation Level 1 Foundation Establishment Stage, 1000 life points. 2, Cultivation Technique Shadow Steps, Great Completion Stage, 1000 life points. 3, Inventory Rank 1 Spirit Plant Seeds, 100 life points. 4, Cultivation Talent Essence of Harvesting, 1000 life points. Note, the available items in the interface of killer's stats will reset in a week. Please buy them before that. A cultivation talent. The last item in the interface pleasantly surprised Ethan, making him immediately interested. Having a cultivation talent in this world would make the cultivation journey slightly easier. So, Ethan wanted it regardless of the benefits that particular talent would bring. Available life points, 215, but the problem is, except for the rank 1 seeds, I can't afford anything. Suddenly, Ethan realized the problem of not having enough life points. System, can you suggest ways for me to earn more life points? If he couldn't buy the items from the interface of killer's stats within a week, they would reset, and he would lose the chance. Ethan wasn't worried about cultivation or cultivation technique, as he could buy them in the future. However, it was rare to get a cultivation talent unless he was killed by the same assassin again. He could use the killer tracking talisman to find him, but it was useless if he didn't have enough life points. Hence, Ethan asked the system for alternative methods to earn life points. Ding, the host. Ding, currently, the host has. Ding, also, there are a few other ways to earn life points. Soon, a series of system notifications flashed before Ethan's eyes, filling them with tears of joy. Ding, the host can exchange system items for life points. Ding, currently, the host has only one system item, the revival life card, which can be exchanged for 1000 life points. Ding, also, there are a few other ways to earn life points, however, the host has to find them or meet the requirements to trigger them. Soon, a series of system notifications flashed before Ethan's eyes, filling them with tears of joy. Although 1000 life points were enough to buy only one thing from the current interface of the killer's stats, Ethan was happy about it. The revival life card is an invaluable item, however, exchanging it for 1000 life points is completely worth it. Since Ethan wouldn't get any life points or be able to buy his killer's stats when he dies and revives using the card, it was a logical trade. Moreover, Ethan would have to die more than 10 times to earn 1000 life points. Thus, he felt exchanging the revival life card for 1000 life points was totally worth it. However, I am not in a hurry to exchange it. Nevertheless, Ethan was not a fool to sell the revival card while his godly revival ability was still on cooldown. I will exchange it a few minutes before my godly revival ability comes out of cooldown. It had only been 2 weeks since Ethan transmigrated to this world, and he had already died 3 times so far. He required life points, however, that didn't mean he would give up his only backup life while the godly revival ability was still on cooldown. Therefore, Ethan was not in a hurry to exchange the revival life card for life points. The next problem is, what should I buy with the 1000 life points after the exchange? Soon, Ethan fell into a dilemma regarding how to spend the life points. I can exclude the mastery of shadow steps, but I can't decide between cultivation and cultivation talent. If he chose to purchase cultivation, he could instantly ascend to the foundation establishment realm, significantly boosting his strength and greatly improving his chances of survival. Also, his lifespan would increase by 150 years, which meant that whenever he died, he would gain an extra 150 life points. On the other hand, if he chose the cultivation talent, it held the potential to shape his future in ways he couldn't yet imagine. The former would greatly enhance his survival, but he could always buy it again later. The cultivation talent, however, seemed like a one-time opportunity. I will go with the cultivation talent. After thinking for nearly an hour, Ethan decided to go with the cultivation talent as he added, but if I feel any danger during this week, I will choose cultivation without any hesitation. Ethan made his decision clear and couldn't help but mutter, with the system, I thought I could become powerful by dying every week. Looks like it's not as simple as I thought it would be. Until now, Ethan believed that he could easily become stronger as long as he died once every week. The cost of a Foundation Establishment Realms killer's stats has already skyrocketed to 1000 life points. How much more would it take to unlock the Golden Core Realms killer's stats? Or even the Nascent Soul Realm, or perhaps stats for realms beyond that? Thinking about it made Ethan realize that becoming stronger was not as easy as he had thought. I should find more ways to earn life points. According to the system, there were other ways to earn life points, and he had to find them on his own. So, Ethan silently made a mental note of it as he finally received the system notification regarding his revival. Ding, the waiting period of 1 hour for the host's revival is completed. Ding, the host can either revive at the death point or at the save point he has saved. Ding, please choose the location you want to revive. Let's revive at the save point. Without hesitation, Ethan chose to revive in the hidden cave to avoid any connection with the place where he died. In the hidden cave, like before, there were no changes in the revival process as Ethan revived without any surprises. After the revival, Ethan stayed within the cave without going out because he was worried about encountering the assassin who killed him. Moreover, after reviving multiple times in the hidden cave, Ethan felt he could use it as a temporary residence. Even if I meet some Chi completion realm cultivators, I can easily escape using my completion stage shadow steps. Unlike his first revival, Ethan was confident in his mastery of cultivation technique. So, he decided to stay in the hidden cave until his godly revival ability came out of cooldown. Time flew by, and in a flash, nearly a week passed, with only 5 minutes remaining before Ethan's godly revival ability came out of cooldown. Hopefully, there won't be any unfortunate encounters with the Eternal Shadow Guild or any other killer organizations. Ethan hoped his future would be as peaceful as the last 7 days, however, he knew it was impossible to be lucky all the time. Anyway, it's time to exchange and buy cultivation talent. Ethan shook off his thoughts and focused on the main thing. Ding, host, are you sure you want to exchange the revival life card for 1000 life points? Yes. And, I want to purchase the cultivation talent using the 1000 life points. Even after making his decision in his soul form, Ethan continued to think about his choice over the last 7 days and felt it was the right one. So, he didn't hesitate as he directly exchanged the revival life card and bought the cultivation talent in a single go. Ding, the host received 1000 life points in exchange for the revival life card. Ding, the host has spent 1000 life points and bought the cultivation talent, essence of harvesting. Finally, I have a cultivation talent. Let's see what kind of effects it has. Ding, host, do you want to convert the essence of harvesting into a special talent? Just as Ethan was planning to check his new cultivation talent, he received another system notification, making him pleasantly surprised. Ethan had already learned from the system that a cultivation talent is related to the cultivation world, while a special talent is related to the system. For example, I am your killer is a special talent, and it is connected to his godly revival system, allowing him to gain life points, lifespan, and the mastery of the cultivation technique from his killer. Without the godly revival system, the special talent I am your killer would be useless because, once someone gets killed, they can't revive to take revenge on their killer. In a way, the special talent was considered superior to the cultivation talent because it was complemented by the godly revival system. I will convert it into a special talent, however, before that, I want to check its effects. Ethan didn't need to think much when converting a cultivation talent into a special talent, however, he was curious about how the effects would change upon conversion. Ding, cultivation talent, essence of harvesting. Effects: 1. The user can obtain brief information about the plants he nurtures. 2. Upon harvesting the plants he nurtures, he can slightly increase his lifespan depending on the rank and quality of the plant. Note, the effects of the talent are directly related to the user's cultivation. The higher the cultivation, the higher the rank of plants he must nurture to gain more lifespan. So, this is how he earns such a high lifespan. As soon as Ethan asked, the system displayed the effects of essence of harvesting, solving Ethan's previous question regarding Shadow Lu's insane lifespan. If I can increase my lifespan, it will also increase the number of life points I earn for each death. The effects of the cultivation talent had already excited Ethan, and he couldn't wait to see the effects after converting it into a special talent. It looks like I have to become a spirit farmer to make full use of this new talent. While Ethan was unsure of the exact effects of the special talent essence of harvesting, he was certain of one thing: it would pave the way for him to become a spirit farmer. Ding! The host's cultivation talent essence of harvesting has been converted into a special talent essence of bountiful harvesting. Amidst his thoughts, the talent had been successfully converted, and even its name had slightly changed, making Ethan excited. Check. Without wasting any time, he directly checked the details of his second special talent. Ding! Special talent, essence of bountiful harvesting. Effects: 1. The user can obtain full information about all plants and even hear their thoughts if he wishes. 2. Upon harvesting the plants, the user will receive life points depending on the rank and quality of the plant. 3. The quality of the harvested products from the plants he personally nurtures will always reach good quality. This is excellent. After converting the cultivation talent into a special talent, its effects had significantly improved, leaving Ethan completely satisfied. What once had only 2 effects now had 3, each one superior to its earlier version. In the future, I should get more cultivation talents and convert them into special talents. After witnessing the transformation of a cultivation talent into a special talent, Ethan decided to do the same for any cultivation talents he acquired in the future. There are some rank 1 spirit seeds available in the interface of the killer's stats. Should I buy them? Ethan suddenly remembered the seeds, which he could use to test his new special talent. However, upon seeing the price of 100 life points for the spirit seeds, Ethan quickly dismissed the idea of buying them. Instead of wasting life points, I can use spirit stones to buy those seeds. Even after spending a lot of spirit stones to kill Shadow Lee, Ethan still had 50 spirit stones and 20 chi refining pills, along with a minor foundation pill. Moreover, rank 1 spirit seeds were not rare items and could be bought in almost every town or village. Ding! The host's godly revival ability has come out of cooldown. Ding! It has been detected that the host hasn't purchased all the items from the interface of the killer's stats. Ding! The host can prevent the reset of the items in the interface of the killer's stats by spending a single life point. Ding! Do you wish to spend a life point to stop the reset of the interface of the killer's stats? Thanks to the system notifications, Ethan's focus shifted to the new feature of the interface of the killer's stats. What? I can stop the reset by spending a single life point. Ethan was elated at the system notifications. So far, Ethan had always bought all the things that appeared in the interface of the killer's stats, and this was the first time he had left any items unpurchased. Because of that, he finally learned about this new feature, making him happy as he asked the system, how long will it stop the reset if I spend 1 life point? Although he didn't want to waste life points, Ethan felt it was a good deal to prevent the items in the interface of the killer's stats from resetting for a single life point. Ding! The items won't be reset as long as the host doesn't die. Huh. The system's response brought a bitter smile to Ethan's face. While he could prevent the items from resetting by staying alive, he wouldn't earn life points unless he died. Wait a second, there is a way. As long as I nurture the spirit plants without dying and harvest life points, I can directly buy the foundation establishment cultivation. Ethan thought about it for a moment before shaking his head. Forget it. I will try to survive a week without dying first and then decide. In this cultivation world, Ethan doubted that he could peacefully nurture spirit plants for long. Moreover, he was curious about what would happen if he didn't die using his godly revival ability for a week. Will there be some kind of reward for surviving? Ethan quickly made his short-term goal: don't die for a week. Since everything is settled, it's time to meet my parents before joining a cultivation family. After planning his future steps once more, Ethan started his journey to meet his parents. Ethan had run for 3 days, pushing himself relentlessly and resting only at night until he finally reached Silvermoon Village on the 4th night. Father, Mother, I'm finally here. As he gazed at the faintly lit entrance, Ethan rushed into the village, the silence of the night filling his ears. Unlike Ironwood Town, Silvermoon Village had no guards, just a small, peaceful settlement with fewer than 100 homes. The houses were simple, constructed from aged wood and stone, their roofs patched with straw and dried leaves. The air was rich with the scent of freshly tilled soil and the smoke of cooking fires. Following the familiar path in his memory, Ethan's heart ached as he approached a small, weathered home. It was a life that felt both foreign and familiar. He was stepping into a world he didn't entirely own. These are my new parents, Ethan thought, a mix of guilt and longing swirling within him. Every step toward the house felt heavier than the last. From inside, a faint humming reached his ears. His fingers trembled as he pushed open the creaking door. Inside, a woman sat mending clothes by the dim light of an oil lamp, her frail hands moving with careful precision. Beside her, a man carved wood, his movements slow and deliberate, worn by time and work. As the door creaked open, both turned to face him. The room fell silent, their gazes locking with his. In the next second, the woman dropped her work and rushed toward him, her tears flowing freely as she wrapped her arms around him. "Kai! You're back!" Vera cried, her voice choked with emotion. On the side, Garrick, Kai's father, stood frozen, his face tight with restrained emotion. The air was thick with unspoken words, the reunion more overwhelming than words could express. "We thought we'd lost you forever," Vera said, her voice shaking. 2 years ago, Kai had left home without a word to his parents, leaving behind only a note. His goal was clear, to join a sect and become a powerful cultivator, believing that with strength, he could change his own fate and that of his family. Seeing their long-lost son standing before them, Garrick and Vera were overwhelmed with emotion. Vera, in particular, couldn't contain herself, her face a mix of tears and smiles as she embraced Kai, unable to believe he was truly home. "Father, Mother, I am sorry. I will never leave you again." Ethan stood frozen, the overwhelming warmth and relief from his new parents crashing over him like a wave. As Vera clung to him, tears flowing, and Garrick's gaze softened with emotion, Ethan found himself apologizing not just for Kai, but for the son Ethan had failed to be in his past life. After the heartfelt reunion, Vera quickly bustled around the small kitchen, her hands swiftly preparing a hearty meal. The scent of warm stew filled the room as Ethan enjoyed his first home-cooked meal after his transmigration. They shared stories and laughter, and for the first time in a long while, Ethan felt a deep sense of peace. This was home. That night, Ethan slept with a smile on his face. "The next day, Father, I want to come to work in the fields with you." Early in the morning, when Ethan's parents were about to leave for work, Ethan told them he would go with them. "Are you sure you want to be a spirit laborer like us?" Garrick was surprised because, in the past, the main reason Kai had run away from home was that he hated being a spirit laborer. Spirit laborers were non-cultivating workers who handled the physical tasks of farming, such as planting, harvesting, and maintaining crops nurtured by spirit farmers. Though essential to farm operations, their work was physically demanding and held low status compared to cultivation-related roles. "Father, let's not talk about the past. I have changed my mind, and my goal is to become a spirit farmer and start as a spirit laborer." Ethan was serious when he informed them of his goal. Although he possessed a special talent related to plants, he had no knowledge of regular farming, let alone the complexities of spirit farming. Hence, he decided to start as a spirit laborer. For now, Ethan had no plans to reveal his cultivation in this small, peaceful village. "Spirit farmer? You should work hard to achieve your goal." Garrick was both surprised and relieved to see that his son had shifted his focus away from the relentless pursuit of cultivation and adventure. "Let's go then." Soon, the family of 3 made their way to the farms they were responsible for. "Son, before you start working, you should know who we are working for." Along the way, Garrick explained things that were not in Kai's memories. "Our Silvermoon village is one of many villages under the control of the Lin family, who have long been known for producing skilled spirit farmers, Garrick explained. They provide us with seeds, land, and water, and our job is to nurture the crops and harvest them when the time comes. From the side, Vera added, the Lin family ensures that we have what we need to work the land, but we must give them 90% of the harvest in return. It's a simple life, but it keeps the village running. She smiled gently, though a hint of weariness lingered in her eyes. Ethan nodded, taking in the information. Though it was a humble existence, he understood the importance of these people in the grand scheme of the cultivation world. What about the spirit farmers if you are doing all the work? Ethan curiously asked about the spirit farmers. We are cultivating gradeless spirit plants, which require no spirit farmers. Our Silver Moon village doesn't qualify to cultivate rank 1 spirit plants yet. Garrick understood Ethan's question as he added, maybe, once you become a spirit farmer, the Lin family might give us permission to cultivate rank 1 spirit plants. Oh. Ethan nodded in understanding, and soon, they reached a small farmland filled with silver-colored flowers. Son, you came at the right time. In a couple of days, we can harvest the silver stem flowers. Harvesting in a couple of days? Excellent. Hearing his father's words, Ethan was excited because he could finally see how many life points he could harvest from this small farmland filled with hundreds of plants. Before that, let's check the information on these plants. Ethan walked up to a plant that was half as tall as him and gently touched it. Instantly, the plant's information appeared before him. Silver stem flower plant, gradeless plant. It is one of the auxiliary ingredients in the preparation of rank 2 silver mist recovering pill. Plant status, slightly thirsty. Maturity time, 8 hours. Remaining interesting. Looking at the neatly explained information, including the plant status and maturity time, Ethan was elated. Since it's only 8 hours, I can harvest it tonight and see exactly how many life points I can earn from it. Ethan was excited about testing out another one of his special talents effects today. I want water, water, water. At the same time, a weak voice resounded in Ethan's head. Sure. Ethan quickly brought a watering can and slowly watered the plant until its status changed. Plant status, happy. Good. Now, the next plant. Ethan continued checking the status of each plant, ensuring their satisfaction, turning their status to happy. It looks like he is really excited about his goal of becoming a spirit farmer. Watching Ethan's enthusiasm for taking care of the spirit plants, Garrick and Vera fully believed him now. Time passed quickly, and in a flash, 6 hours had gone by. One of the silver stem flowers had matured, and Ethan gently harvested the flower. In no time, he received a series of system notifications, the ones he had been expectantly waiting for. Ding, the special talent essence of bountiful harvest has been triggered. Ding, the host has harvested a gradeless spirit plant, the silver stem flower. Ding, the host has harvested a gradeless spirit plant, the silver stem flower, and received 0.01 life points. Ding, the harvested silver stem flower has reached good quality due to the host's nurturing. What? Only 0.01 life points. Ethan frowned when he saw the pitiful amount of life points he received from harvesting. However, Ethan could tell that it was because the rank of the silver stem flower was too low. Forget it, for now, I'll make do with these life points. Since he was getting the life points for free, Ethan stopped complaining and focused on the other matured plants in the field. Ethan, don't harvest the flowers yet. They are not considered items yet. Before Ethan could harvest the second flower, Garrick hurriedly rushed to stop him. Harvesting too early would render the flowers useless, and with each flower lost, their share would decrease, a risk Garrick was unwilling to take. This, you harvested a good quality silver stem flower. But when he saw the flower in Ethan's hands, Garrick was shocked by the quality of the flower Ethan had just harvested. The harvested plant products were classified into 3 grades based on their quality: regular, good, and perfect. Regular quality was the most common and widely produced, while perfect quality was extremely rare and highly valued. Good quality fell in between, offering better potency and value than regular but lacking the exceptional properties of perfect. For spirit laborers like Garrick and Vera, producing good quality products was a challenging task. On rare occasions, if luck was on their side, they managed to harvest a dozen or so good quality silver stem flowers. Not only did his son harvest a matured flower, but he also harvested a good quality flower, making him thoroughly shocked. "Yes, father." Ethan nodded as he harvested another matured silver stem flower right in front of his father's eyes. This, another good quality flower." Garrick was shocked again. "While I was away from home, I learned a few things about spirit plants, and harvesting at the right time was one of them." Ethan replied with a smile as he started finding the matured plants to harvest. "Ding, the host has harvested a gradeless spirit plant, the silver stem flower, and received 0.01 life points. Ding, the host has harvested a gradeless spirit plant, the silver stem flower, and received 0.01 life points." For the next hour, Ethan harvested around 100 good quality silver stem flowers and earned a single life point. "If I harvest all the silver stem flowers, I can earn around 10 life points." There were around 1,000 silver stem flowers in the field, which, upon harvesting, would net Ethan 10 life points. Although 10 life points were not much, it was better than nothing. Moreover, this was just the beginning, and as the grade of the plants he nurtured increased, the amount of life points he received would go up. "My son is a born spirit farmer." Vera was happy with Ethan's harvesting skills as she asked her husband, "Should we recommend him to the Lin family?" "Even if we don't recommend him, how can you explain the appearance of so many good quality silver stem flowers?" Garrick smiled as he decided to inform the Lin family about his son's skills. Garrick and Vera didn't want their son to follow in their footsteps as spirit laborers. With his unique skills, they believed joining the Lin family would pave the way for him to achieve his dream of becoming a spirit farmer. "Let's ask Kai before making the decision." They could sense that Ethan was concealing something about the 2 years he had spent away from Silver Moon Village. Thus, they wanted to inform Ethan first and let him decide before informing the Lin family about his skills. "It's a good idea, father. If they recruit me, I won't mind joining them." After hearing his parents' suggestion, Ethan agreed to join the Lin family without any hesitation. Anyway, his plan was to join a cultivation family and slowly become powerful. For the next 2 days, Ethan didn't let his parents harvest the silver stem flowers. Instead, he carefully tended to those spirit plants and harvested them as soon as they matured. Thanks to Ethan's harvest hand, every silver stem flower this time turned out to be of good quality. Ethan's parents were excited as they looked at the 1,000 silver stem flowers in the trunk before them, giving the entire credit to Ethan's magical hands. "Father, I will go and help uncle and aunt with their harvesting." On the other hand, Ethan wanted to harvest more plants to earn more life points. After harvesting all the silver stem flowers, Ethan decided to help his uncle and aunt, who were also spirit laborers like his parents, harvest their plot of silver stem flowers. Sure. Garrick had no problem with Ethan helping out his neighbors because it was a small village where people were closer compared to towns or cities. However, he reminded Ethan, "Come back early, as we have to visit the Lin family tomorrow morning." All the harvested silver stem flowers were to be submitted to the Lin family, and Garrick wanted to use this opportunity to pave the way for Ethan's future. "Don't worry, father. Let's have meat tonight to celebrate the end of our harvesting." Ethan replied with a bright smile as he quickly went to the spirit field managed by his uncle and aunt. "Uncle Joran, Aunt Elva, I am here to help you harvest the silver stem flowers again." For the past 2 days, Ethan had been helping them, and seeing that all the silver stem flowers were of good quality, Joran let Ethan continue harvesting all the flowers in the field. "Kai, you are here." Elva used to dislike Ethan in the past, However, for the past 2 days, she was happy to see him. Ethan sensed the difference through Kai's memories, however, he wasn't bothered by it since he was helping himself by harvesting their silver stem flowers. Moreover, Uncle Joran was always kind to Kai, feeding him meat every now and then and bringing him to other villages. People like him are so rare in the modern day, much less in the cultivation world. Although Ethan hadn't spent much time with this uncle of his, he could tell that he was a kind soul. "Uncle, did you harvest any silver stem flowers in my absence?" Nodding his head at Elva, Ethan squinted his eyes at the field as he asked Joran. "Don't worry, Kai. I didn't let your uncle enter the field, much less harvest any silver stem flowers." Before Joran could reply, it was Elva who answered, assuring Ethan that they hadn't harvested any silver stem flowers. "Thanks, Aunt. I know I can always rely on you." Ethan gave her a thumbs up before harvesting while checking each plant's status. On the other hand, Joran remained speechless throughout their conversation. It took a couple of hours to harvest nearly 500 spirit plants, earning Ethan 5 life points. Over the past 2 days, his total life points had accumulated to 20. "Uncle, Aunt, I will go home now." After having an evening snack with them, Ethan quickly returned home. That night, the small family had a big dinner, celebrating their bumper harvest. It is time to know the benefits of not dying for a week. Before going to sleep, Ethan expectantly waited for the system notifications, and soon, he received them. The benefits are way better than I expected. Looking at the series of system notifications, Ethan was thoroughly shocked. Ding, congratulations to the host for surviving a week without using the godly reviving ability. Ding, the host has received a. Congratulations to the host for surviving a week without using the godly reviving ability. Ding, the host has received the following rewards for his achievement: 1. 100 life points. 2. A free voucher worth 200 life points. 3. A new save point. 4. A multiplier life card, small. 5. A revival life card. Ethan was expecting rewards for surviving an entire week without using the godly reviving ability, however, he didn't expect to receive so many. "I got another revival life card just like that." He had exchanged one revival life card earlier, and now, he got another one. "If I exchange it, I can increase my cultivation to the foundation establishment realm." The moment Ethan saw the last item in his rewards, he thought about exchanging it. Previously, Ethan had spent 1 life point to prevent the items in the interface of the killer's stats from resetting. Now that he had received a revival life card, which could be exchanged for 1000 life points, he seriously considered exchanging it. Before that, let's check out the other rewards. Ethan was not in a hurry to exchange and upgrade his cultivation, as he could do it any time now. Instead, he checked out the other rewards. 100 life points and a voucher worth 200 life points. If I had died, I would have received only 99 life points, but I got 201 extra life points for surviving. Ethan was already satisfied with 300 life points, but he had received even more than that. I can choose another save point now. His first save point was in the hidden cave, nearly 1,000 kilometers from Silvermoon Village. So, having a new save point around Silvermoon Village was a good thing for Ethan. Finally, there's a new card that I don't know. Since Ethan was already familiar with the revival life card, he was curious about the multiplier life card. As soon as he focused on it, a silver-colored card appeared in his hands, followed by a system notification detailing the card. Ding, item name, multiplier life card grade, small. Effect, the host can randomly multiply the life points received upon death by a factor between 2 and 5. System exchange value, 100 life points. It can increase the life points I receive. Excellent item. Ethan was fully satisfied with the card's effect, though the last row caught his attention. Unlike the revival life card, it can only be exchanged for 100 life points, which is totally not worth it. Even in the worst case, Ethan could get an extra 99 life points. However, if he was extremely lucky, he could get an extra 396 life points. Moreover, even if he was only slightly lucky, he could still gain either 198 or 297 extra life points. Therefore, Ethan had no plans to exchange the multiplier life card. Of course, these calculations are based on my current situation. However, after I break through to the Foundation establishment realm, my lifespan will increase by 150 years, meaning I can earn even more life points with each death. Since Ethan was planning to upgrade his cultivation, the value of the multiplier life card would also increase significantly. Also, its grade is small. I wonder how much a higher grade multiplier life card can multiply my life points. Ethan could not help but wonder about higher grade multiplier life cards before focusing on the interface of the killer's stats. Ding, interface of killer's stats 1, cultivation level 1 foundation establishment stage, 1000 life points. 2. Cultivation technique shadow steps, great completion stage, 1000 life points. 3. Inventory rank 1 spirit plant seeds, 100 life points. 4. Cultivation talent essence of harvesting, 1000 life points, purchased. Available life points, 324, plus 200. I have more than 500 life points, however, it's still not enough to buy cultivation. Ethan was not disappointed. Instead, he exchanged the revival life card. Ding, the host exchanged the revival life card and received 1000 life points. Ding, the host has spent 800 life points and a voucher worth 200 life points to purchase the Foundation Establishment Realm Cultivation. Swoosh! As soon as he completed the purchase of cultivation, Ethan felt a mysterious energy surging inside his body, threatening to burst him apart. Arg! Ethan groaned in pain but quickly placed a hand over his mouth to avoid waking his parents and causing them unnecessary worry. The process lasted for a couple of minutes, however, for Ethan, it felt like an eternity. Nevertheless, he endured it. Ding, congratulations, the host has successfully broken through to the Foundation Establishment Realm. Just when Ethan thought he could not endure the pain any longer, he received a system notification, and the pain disappeared completely. First, let's check the changes in my body. His meridians, once narrow and prone to strain, now coursed with vitality, their channels widened and reinforced, while his internal organs were fortified, as though tempered by an unseen fire. As for his spirit senses, the world seemed to open before him in ways he had never imagined. He could feel the gentle hum of spirit energy in the wind and the faint pulse of life from distant plants. Most importantly, within his Danshan, the once roiling sea of spiritual energy had stilled, transforming into a dense and luminous foundation. What was once a dream for Kai, I achieved in just a month after arriving in this world. Feeling the changes in his body and his heightened spirit senses, Ethan could not help but be amazed. Now, it's time to check my lifespan. Ding, due to the host's major realm breakthrough, a new feature has been unlocked. Just as Ethan was about to check the changes in his lifespan after his breakthrough, he received a system notification that gave him a pleasant surprise.